So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have the full gang here with us, and we're going to be discussing Purva Ashada, which I know it's happening quickly, so I'm glad. And you guys will get to find out a whole lot of details on this nakshatra than ever before. So, we'll start with our good old doctor, Dr. Pai, on this.
Okay, thank you, Kapil, and namaste to everybody. Yeah, I think this is fantastic. We're doing Purva Ashada as such. You know, we did Mula maybe 2 weeks ago, and we're doing Purva Ashada now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fascinating nakshatra, like all other nakshatras. And I've also been studying a little bit about these twin nakshatras, and I'm trying to see what are the correlations that you see with these twin nakshatras. You know, of course, the team can add as I go along, because the Purva and the Uttara nakshatras, I see a lot of themes being very common between them. It's just like an extension of the Purva and the Uttara. It's more like Purva is like the transformation, and Uttara is more like the transformed. And when you see all the Purva and the Uttara nakshatras, we start with the Falgunis, the Purva Falguni and the Uttara Falguni. You see the stark configuration and you see the constellations there. It mostly represents the bed, the cot, or the couch. So the Purva is like the couch where you take a nap or a siesta, and the Uttara is like the the marriage bed or the nuptial bed. So what you see more with that nakshatra there, the pair of Purva and Uttara, which is the Falgunis is more of resting, relaxation. You know, Maga is like who's just been coronated as a king, and just after the coronation, it's the time for him to rejoice. And you know, it's all about courtship, it's about matchmaking, it's about resting, relaxation, and all of those themes. Then on the other end of the Purva and Uttara is the Bhadrapadas or the Proshtapadas. Now, both of them represents the funeral cot. You know, that's the symbology there. So it's more, you know, representing to do with, you know, thunderstorm, just like the Rudras, because these are ruled by the Rudras, you know, Ajay Ekapada and Ahirbudnya. So you see that, you know, that's the kind of the end of the life. So one was more to do with, you know, Purva is called as a fierce nakshatra, or the, you know, the Ugra nakshatras or the Krura nakshatras. All the Purva nakshatras are called as Ugra nakshatra. Sorry, it's not Ugra. You know, they are called, you know, fierce nakshatras. Okay. And all the Uttara nakshatras are called as Thira, which means they are fixed. So they are Ugra, and then you have the fixed ones. So when you look at the Ashadas, today we're going to talk about Purva Ashada and Uttara Ashada. The Ashadas are more like, you know, typically I think, you know, Aditya will add when he talks about in his slides, he will talk about, you know, this typically the Ashada months here in India fall in the Gregorian calendar in June or July, roughly about that time. It's very hot here, humid, hot. So, you know, the Ashadas are those months when it is really dry, hot, humid, you know, a lot of heat being generated. So those are the themes that you see with the Ashadas. But Ashada, when you see it, more themes of the Ashadas are more to do with invincibility and universality. You know, it's like invincible and also winning over something. So it's not the cot, it's not about relaxation, it's not about the final thing. The Ashadas is more like a battle of life, the Purva and the Uttara. It's all the challenges that you face throughout your life, you know. So if you really understand the symbology of Sagittarius, and Purva Ashada falls in the middle of Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is the natural 9th house of the zodiac. Mm-hmm. So 9th house also represents a lot to do with, you know, your dharma, and it's 5th from 5th, and that's why it's something brings about your Purva Punya. So many people who have planets in Purva Ashada there is a great desire or sense for purification, cleansing, and it's also about themes that I've seen because of the water, because the deity associated with this is the water. And the deity is Apas or Apa. Okay, Apa is she's the consort of the cosmic ocean. Many say she's the consort of Varuna as well. And it is just that it's a river. Apa is the river, it's the fresh water, wanting to meet with the salt water. So the Purva Ashada is like the river which is wanting to, rush towards the ocean or to the sea, the salt water and the fresh water, wanting to merge together. So I have seen the Purva Ashada is also more like an aquatic nakshatra. Amongst all the other nakshatras, this nakshatra has a lot of, water element associated with it. And what I've seen with this nakshatra is, one is it's more ambitious, and it's, it's yearning or yearning to merge and to submerge with the cosmic ocean. So it is all about trying to lose your individuality and wanting to become one with something greater. So Purva Ashadas have this great desire of starting, as an individual and wanting to merge into something greater. So there is a lot of transformative nature that I've seen with Purva Ashada. And with Purva Ashada, also because it is the waters, the Shakti of this nakshatra is called as a Varcha Grahana Shakti. Now, what is Varcha Grahana? Varcha Grahana means it's the ability to feel strong, invigorate, to feel, which you can overcome any problems in your life, or not wanting to be tired. So this Purva Ashada I've seen, on one side, it is all about your creative juices, your creative energies. Okay, it's also about flexibility. It's also about sexuality to some extent, because creation and procreation go hand in hand. So it has a creative side to it, and it has a procreative side to it. So that's why the Varcha Grahana, when I'm talking about, I often thought about this Varcha Grahana in two facets. One is the ability to push through an agenda, to be very firm, and also to make good choices in life on the positive side. And it's also about fertility. Now, I see the Varcha Grahana, which is the ability to energize, is to see energization. If the moon is there, maybe energizing your mind or energizing your manas. If you have Venus, then you might feel energized through all the Venusian qualities. It could be a spouse, it could be a partner, it could be a woman who can really energize you. So if you really understand that, then you see it's all about the human fertilization. If you understand the human union, see again, when you see the Falgunis, it's also the union of the polar opposites, the Purva and the Uttara. So, the Purva and the Uttara Falgunis, it's more to do with, one is you see many mythologies where the Bharat in India, we call the, I don't know what is the English equivalent of Bharat. Bharat is like when you go out for a wedding, the procession, the wedding procession, what happens before the wedding, when the bridegroom comes to see his bride or meet his bride. So that is the Bharat. So the Bharat happens, and there are many stories. Even Shiva and Parvati, they say they married when the Uttara Falguni was, the marriage ceremony happened in Uttara Falguni, but the procession of Shiva started in Purva. Similarly, when you see with Purva Ashada and Uttara Ashada, it's more to do with Purva Ashada is the fertilization that happens, just before the fertilization is the way in which the sperm wants to approach the ovum. And the union and the fertilization and the production of this union in the human embryo is called as the zygote cell. So this is the fertilized egg. So that's the Purva Ashada, and this happens in the fallopian tube. So it's that rushing through. It's just like the river rushing, wanting to go and meet the ocean. Similarly, it's like the sperm wanting to go and meet with the ovum, the egg, to fertilize. to invigorate, to start the whole process. So you see, to have this happen, you need to have Venus, Shukra. Shukra is the sperm as well. So this is Shukra's nakshatra. Venus rules this nakshatra. And I want to be very correct that only in the Vimshottari Dasha system, it is Venus. If you look at another Dasha system, it could be something else. So don't take it universally that it is Venus which rules this nakshatra. When we are talking here, we're talking about Vimshottari Dasha system alone. Okay? So when I see this nakshatra, I see it's more like Apa is like the Aphrodite. Okay? And I've seen this over and over again. I see people, when I see a painting which has mermaids in it, mermaids in the ocean, that's all about Purva Ashada. It's about the beauty, it's about the sensuality also. That's the positive side. The other side is more of aggressive, wanting it's my way or the highway, Purva Ashada. So what I see is Purva Ashada sitting in the 9th house in the middle. It's more to do with the fruits of your previous karmas as well. Whatever planet is sitting there can bring you some fruits of your previous karmas. Okay, so I find that this nakshatra, because it's an aquatic nakshatra, I have seen a lot of themes related to the ocean. People wanting to live near a lake or an ocean or by the sea. And I've seen that, people with Purva Ashada would probably like even the street food, especially the seafood. These are the ones who would love to go for, burgers or a bhel puri or, a chaat on the street. It's a delight. They like to, be very close, or maybe by the beach. I've seen many people go to the beach and there are candies being sold there. They want to purchase that. These are the ones who want to buy something when they are very close to a water body, or they like seafood. That's one theme that I've seen very much. Mm-hmm. And these are the people who will, if they are feeling depressed, water is the best way to energize them. If you have a bathtub, you can soak yourself, put some lavender oil, put some, Epsom salt, and a few drops of lavender oil. If you want to, relax and sit down and you feel so energized by water. So that's something that I've seen that will help the nakshatra to be closer to water and to use water in various ways. And also what I see where this nakshatra becomes very, very powerful is especially where the rivers are meeting the ocean. These are called as deltas as well, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, or estuaries. I think that's the right word. It's an estuary. Okay, that's estuaries are where the river is gushing and wanting to meet. I think that's where the energy of Purva Ashada is the most. So if you want to bring in a Purva Ashada influence in your life, then probably you want to go there. Another theme of Purva Ashada is also about wanting to remain. There is a theme, I don't know why, I've seen this word. There is a theme of even a celibacy coming to Purva Ashada. Now, why is this? It's because this nakshatra is ruled by both the gurus. Okay, Brahaspati, which is Jupiter, because of Sagittarius. It's Sagittarius, is the overlord of Sagittarius, Jupiter. And then you have Venus there, Shukracharya, and Vimshottari Dasha. So you see this, it's all about logic. It's about metaphysics that they want to. What I've seen is these people can go into a swimming pool and feel energized, go to an aquarium and get energized. So the celibacy thing, what I'm wanting to bring here is one of the tree associated with Purva Ashada is called as a Sita Ashoka. Some texts also say about a Ratan cane. Okay, Sita Ashoka. Now, why it's called Sita Ashoka? When Sita was kept captive by the Titanic king Ravana in Lanka, he kept her in a forest called, Ashoka Vatika or Ashoka forest. So it's a very sacred forest, and it is believed when you keep somebody there, that brings an element of restraint. But Ashoka trees are very popular in India, because they're sacred to a specific species of celestial beings called as yakshas. And you see a lot of connection with yakshinis. Yakshinis are these celestial nymphs or invisible, okay, and they're known for their sensuality. With a hourglass figure, if you see the yakshinis, they're like with hourglass figures, they can woo. And who's the king of the yakshas? It is, Kubera, okay, the god of wealth and god of treasure and everything. So there is some connection also with treasures, wealth acquired through a battle or a war. Purva Ashada is all about the battle, because this is a battle nakshatra. It's about declaration of a battle. And in the olden times, they used to wait, because they used to spread themselves around the enemy camp, very clandestinely, and wait for the opportune moment to give a go-ahead to attack the enemies. And usually it's that Sandhi point between when moon is transiting between Purva Ashada to Uttara Ashada, that was the go-ahead. Because Uttara Ashada, whatever you attack in Uttara Ashada nakshatra, it said it's invincible, is ultimate victory. So that's why you see it. Uttara Ashada doesn't have a counterpart, an animal counterpart in the whole system. Of course, if there was Abhijit, then Abhijit would have been the counterpart. If you're looking at 27 system, then there is no counterpart. So what you see with these people with Purva Ashada is even though they have on the exhibit a very over-expansive nature, but they have very strong opinions. They could be good debaters, but they cannot be defeated in an argument. They don't like to be defeated. They could be quite emotional sometimes, very philosophical, very, that because it's the water, it's the apa which keeps them there. So one of the symbols of this nakshatra is a fan. It's a hand fan. Okay, what does the fan symbolize? See, fan, I have seen this is the best way to energize Purva Ashada. And I see this theme very much in countries like Japan, where they, it's all about the hand fans. You go to a Japanese restaurant, you see those big hand fans, and it's a status symbol. It's a symbol of status. So because of the status symbol, you also see that, sometimes they say it is also associated with an elephant tusk. The tusk of the elephant is the most prized possession of the elephant. They say the elephant feels so good when it, and the trunk, the elephant's tusk is more like, it's got very penetrative abilities. It is, it's very strong. And many of the elephant herds decide the leader of their pack based on the quality of the tusk, I believe. Okay, so it is all to do with that status. The fan is about, because Purva Ashada, I said it's Ugra Nakshatra, Krura Nakshatra, fierce, hot, temperamental. So you want to cool down the temperature. That's why you carry a hand fan. Okay, but remember, the hand fan, even in the yagnas today, the fire rituals they do, you see a hand fan is used even to burn the charcoal even more, or burn the wood even more. You see the pandit or the priest, using a kind of a hand fan and trying to, put the fire back when it is just dousing. So it can actually aggravate something, or it can, cool you down. So that signifies that Purva Ashada has both these traits. One is to cool down, another is to, enhance or aggravate. So I've also seen there is a great desire for purification with Purva Ashada, with this nakshatra. Why? Is because it's all about regeneration, and it's also about early victory. So when you look the classical example, when you talk about Purva Ashada, I think Eve G will talk about that. I think she definitely has some slides, or maybe she'll point to the chart of Adolf Hitler. He had 3 planets in Purva Ashada. He had Moon, Jupiter, and Ketu in Purva Ashada. So it was, his mind was like, I want to ethnically cleanse, by killing 5 million Jews during the Holocaust. It was devastating, because for him, it was more of cleansing, ethnic cleansing. So they have this thing of wanting to cleanse, purify, and this whole thing, It's more of authority, dictatorship. That's the shadow side of Purva Ashada that I see. But what I see with Purva Ashada is you see people who are interested in, like, you see marine engineers or marine biologists, oceanographers, people who are interested in irrigation projects or irrigation consultants or experts, and people who are interested as divers, sailors, divers, deep divers like scuba diving. All of these teams I've seen a lot with Purva Ashada. So, and I've also seen that people who are also strangely, see what happens with Purva Ashada. And I think Santip mentioned this in in the last video we did on Mula. He said Mula somehow is connected to horses. That's because you see Sagittarius, half of Sagittarius is a horse and half of it is a man with a bow and arrow, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the Purva and the Uttara is more like the bow and arrow. It's the human form, and you can probably consider Mula as the horse part of it. So it is more like the man is wanting to shoot to the sky, to the stars. So these are people who want to achieve something which is probably beyond their vision. Most of them want to eye for something what they can see. I can see my target here. I want to shoot straight and I want to get the target. But these are people whose target is beyond the wall, and they want to shoot that in a different way. So it's like the Arjuna, the real Arjuna, the Pandava, he wanted to shoot a revolving fish. Do you see there is a lot of Purva Ashada energies there in this whole episode where he has to look at the water, which is Apa, look at the reflection. There is a rotating fish. Again, fish, I told you, somewhere is connected because it's an aquatic animal, marine animals, aquariums, all of that is Purva Ashada energy. So he wanted to look at the reflection through the water and shoot the eye of the fish. That was his target. For many, it's really, because it's not sthira, it is moving. So that was all about, you see the way he wanted to win his bride was through showing his skill. So Purva Ashada wants to show their skill, showcase their skill. And it could be something like, this fish rotating, and you have to look at the reflection and shoot that fish. So you can see all of these themes of mermaids, water, aquatic animals, and all of these very much with this nakshatra. It's also about swimming pools, ports, shipyards. This is where you find a lot of energy with and they want to. Also, what I wanted to say is water, I say, has got life. And this I've said in many of my videos. Today, we're using silica, which is earth. Silica is sand, right? And we're using silica to store a lot of information, right? We use hard disk drive, we say. What is hard disk drive? It's made from earth. Why? Because silica. Okay, that's all we know today. But what I say, in future, you will have technology where you can save, maybe, trillions of gigabytes on just a small particle of water. Because water has life. Water has memory. And water stores this memory. And from time immemorial, you can say ever since there was millions, billions of years ago when water was formed, water still has that energy. So the quality of water will differ from one place to another. So imagine you go to the mountains and you drink from the freshwater spring. That water is completely healing. When you drink that water, it invigorates. It just feels so good about it. But the same water, you have it in a city, which is stored in a reservoir. That doesn't give you that water. It needs the flowing water. The flowing water is energizing. It's not the still water which is sitting there. That's not your Purva Ashada. So, in the olden times when the Rajabhishek or Pattabhishek used to say, where the coronation of the king used to happen, they used to bring water from, different rivers in India. And it's like they used to bathe the king in all these waters before they coronate him. It's just like, how you baptize today. Okay, the same way he was baptized with the waters from various rivers. There were 16 rivers from which they used to bring these. Okay, and all these 16 river water was used to energize them. So water, what I feel, Apa and this nakshatra will also find probably there could be some breakthrough which can happen in a few months, something to do with water and something to do with storage of like a memory bank. And let me also tell you, in a decade or two, water is going to be so precious. I'm saying pure drinking water is going to be so precious. It's going to be more expensive than oil. Today, you have gas or oil is so expensive, crude oil. But that's Saturn. Now, water is going to be called as blue gold in 2 decades because you're not going to get fresh water, drinking water. And I think people have underestimated the importance of fresh drinking water. And I feel in a few years, water is going to be, if you go to the Middle East, you'll really find crude oil is much more cheaper to fill gas into your car is much more cheaper than getting a bottle of water. So you can already see that it's happening in the Middle East. You go to Saudi, maybe water is more expensive. Okay, so you can see the importance of water growing, and I see that this nakshatra will have, I have many things to say, but I would let the other panelists here today to talk about their experiences with this, because this is more about all pervasiveness, this nakshatra. It's deified water, Apa.
I remember you were saying that this is a invincible nakshatra, right, along with the Purva Ashada.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to know, as on behalf of probably the entire audience, does it really mean if this is invincible that a person who has this nakshatra and they can do all the wrongs in their life and they will be invincible? They will do, what does it really means to the early victory? Because I know it's about early victory and it's invincible nakshatra, but we do find people in life who have not won the victories in life or not invincible at all. I mean, you see like murders and rapists in prison, with these nakshatras. So what are these two things that we say it's invincible and it's early victory? What does that really mean in the practical context?
Okay. For probably what I would do is I can go first, and maybe others can also add. It's more to do with an unstable mind. Imagine the early victory is about just getting your mind to be stable. So the early victory can also mean it's an early stage of your spiritual awakening. Now there are two ways of looking at it. On one side, the higher harmonics of this nakshatra might be to do with overindulgence and narcissism, fanaticism, a dictatorship, all of that. That's a lower harmonic of this. But the higher harmonic of this nakshatra is more to do with spiritual awakening, spiritual teachings. People who want to read spiritual books, people who want to connect to a guru, maybe who's not alive, because it's all about wanting to feel that. So even though when you have both these things playing on in the chart, I feel people should make it's about the judgment, what I feel.
Okay.
And I see there's one more secret I want to tell. There are so many things when I do my readings, I find out if there is a particular planet like a Saturn or maybe a Rahu there, and if it's in a particular house, either sixth house in Purva Ashada, I've always seen there is a lack of certain minerals, especially like magnesium, and some minerals are lacking. So they might need to take supplements to replenish, replenish them with those. So magnesium is something that I've seen with Purva Ashada. Likewise, if you go, opposite to Mrigashira, I'm talking about Mrigashira in Gemini. I've seen they need a lot of omega-3 fatty acids. That's missing. You see, invariably, they might have any planet there, omega-3 fatty acids. They would probably need that.
Okay.
From Mrigashira and Gemini part. I'm not talking about the Taurus. I'm talking about the third and the fourth pada of Mrigashira.
Okay.
So there's so many themes that I've seen with, such some nutrients missing in people's with the nakshatras.
Okay. Cool.
So I think it's more about motivation, and also I have seen some element of impatience with these people. They want to go to their higher goals, but there is, as you mentioned, there is a want of, you can see even serial killers, like, because it's a Ugra nakshatra, fierce nakshatra, but they also have a great desire of self-improvement. Tapasya. These people can be really tapasic. And they also, I said, they could also be sometimes long periods of celibacy. Sometimes, forced, or sometimes self-inflicted. There is a sense of, sometimes these people can also have a sense of being victims. Self-victimization is like thinking, oh, there is some problem with me, or I'm being the victim. Play the victim card.
Okay.
It's interesting you pointed out about chemicals and all, because Ashoka tree, they say that the bark is used.
Yogi, your voice is low.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you pointed out about the chemicals which is they may be deprived of or something. Because Ashoka tree, which is connected to Purva Ashada, they say that it is the bark of the tree consists of sodium, silica, magnesium, iron, calcium, aluminium, and so on. So such elements. So that may be implying what you said is like, I could see that connection with Ashoka tree.
Yeah, definitely. I think, there is a very strong correlation, and maybe that is why we see the connection with Sita being kept in that forest. And she never let go of, Ravana tried many ways to convince her, but there was a lot of restraint. It's all about those many years she was there. She was very pure and, celibate, and protecting her like chastity, maintaining their chastity. That's something I see with this. But on the other side, this nakshatra can be one of the most fertile nakshatras for childbirth and everything. Even though it is a Ugra nakshatra, I'm saying that's good for that, because through the womb of Apa, the deity Apa, they say, many of them say this, Agni was the offspring of Apa. Agni is fire god. So from water, the fire god came off. That's one of the themes that I've seen. And what I want to say, another point I wanted to add to here is, some of them also believe that Purva Ashada is the birth nakshatra of Kuja or Mangal or Mars. So there is a very strong correlation with Mars. Mars is Martian qualities you see with Purva Ashada. Mars is the warrior who is marching towards a war. See, Purva Falguni, I say, is the knight who's, during the peace times, the knight, the soldier, who many people like, because, a lot of women want to, in the olden times, you see their body, they see, their spear and everything, they get attracted to the knight. So it's a knight during the peace times is Purva Falguni, and Purva Ashada is more like, now the warrior wants to go to the battlefields. He's on his way to the battlefield. He's marching towards his battlefield. And Uttara Ashada is more like the battlefield. And the Purva Bhadrapada and Uttara Bhadrapada, if you understand the symbology of Purva Bhadrapada, it is like a sword. It's a double-edged sword, or it's a two swords. It's all about twins. Two swords. Sometimes they show a skull as well. That's showing your might and your fight on the battlefield. And Uttara Bhadrapada is shown as twins. One of the symbols shown is the twins, the two-faced man sometimes. So what is the two-faced man? Every battle and every end of every battle, remember, one is the victorious and the other is defeated, but there is a story to be told on both sides. They're like the two sides of the same coin. Okay, but now what we do is we only listen to Ramayana, and we talk about the glories of Rama and his victory, but there is a side to what Ravana has to say. Now, why don't we go and study about what Ravana's story was? Why did he wage this war? Why did he abduct the wife? There is always a story behind, but that story is not told, because stories are always, history is all about the victorious. It's not about the defeated. So Uttara Bhadrapada is this connection. It's a funeral bed. Maybe you fought the battle, you're seriously wounded, and then you're on your your last rites have to be performed with water. That's why it's called, what's the Shakti there? Varsho Dhyamana Shakti. What do you call that? Let me see. What is the Varsho Dhyamana Shakti? The power to bring rainfall or to use rainfall. So imagine a battlefield where there is rivers of blood flowing, and then there is a rainfall, and then it's like cleansing and purification. Many of them have died on the battlefield, but there are nobody to tell their story on the battlefield.
Okay.
You understand the Purva and the Uttara for different periods.
Okay.
And that's my view. I'm not saying that everybody has to agree with my views. That's what I see them. And maybe, the other panelists also have something to add to. But always remember, Purva and Uttara is like two sides of the same coin.
Same coin, okay.
One is the victorious, the other might be the defeated, or, the one who has lost the battle, but might have a story to tell, but you never listen to that story.
Okay. Cool. So, Togita. Dr. Togita. You might want to...
Yeah, Santip wanted to say something. Santip wanted
to... Aditya, hear you. That's what I want to
Okay, you're going to go?
No. Aditya is going to go.
Oh, okay, Aditya.
No, are you... Oh, I thought you asked...
No, I'll go at the end. No, Dr. Boy, I think that's a very interesting point. I just want to add about quickly about the Purva and Uttara, in which you mentioned the two sides of the story. Because like if you look at the exact fourth house cusp from Purva Ashada, you kind of get Rapada also. So it's kind of it's a nakshatra where Mercury is getting debilitated. You look at 10th house from 10th house cusp from Purva Ashada, you get Hasta where Mercury gets exalted. So it's a very interesting, in terms of the story that's being told, both sides of the story. So Mercury is the planet, in my opinion, who will be capable of telling both sides. So that was very interesting point which you mentioned.
Very good. And let me tell you with Purva Ashada, one more point before Aditya can go with this presentation. Aditya, be ready. I just wanted to say, with this nakshatra, it's all about being a strategist. It's not those people who can go and execute that, but it's more like the strategist who's preparing the strategies. It's like the Chanakyas of the world, and these are people like the big people who can do the financial consulting, like the McKinsey's, the Boston Consulting Group, all of these.
Oh my God. I can't tell you how many readings I've done with people who are strategic consultants.
Yeah.
Like Bain and Company, McKinsey. And that's something you just find all the time. So yeah, that's a very strong point there. Cool.
Yeah.
Aditya ji.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I will share my screen here. Okay. Can you see the slides? Perfect. Is it okay? Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see the slides here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fine. So Dr. Pai mentioned about, I think on most of the points. I will just stress here on the astronomy part and maybe something about festivals and all. And this is as we know that Purva Ashada comes completely in the Sagittarius constellation. So this is a Sagittarius constellation here. And it looks like a teapot. And sometimes Sagittarius constellation is also called as a teapot. It looks like a teapot. The spout here, the handle here. And this is a star, the Yogatara of Purva Ashada, this Delta Sagittarius. It's also called as cos media. I will talk when I talk, but when I show that slide, but this is what it is. This is the Yogatara of Purva Ashada Nakshatra, Delta Sagittarius. It's not that bright. Because see, when you come to the region of Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, there are not many bright stars there.
What degree is it at, the Yogatara?
It will come in the slide. Wait, I think it is around 10 degrees of Sagittarius. 10 degree 44 minutes. Okay, anyway, so before talking about Purva Ashada, I was just thinking maybe I was just looking the names of each nakshatra. What does it tells you? I know some of them you may be aware of this, but I was just thinking about each nakshatra and each the names the nakshatra names tell you a lot about that nakshatra. For example, Ashwini is directly connected to Ashwa, comes from the Ashwa means horse. Bharani, I was thinking, what about Bharani? Bharani is, we say in Hindi, there's a word Bharan Poshan. Bharan Poshan is like Bharan is to give birth. Poshan is to, to take care and to raise, basically, to raise the children and all. So Bharani is connected to maybe the birth, or as we know, the Bharani is also for the womb. Now, Kritika, I don't know. Kritika is like critical. The word critical is an English word, but I was thinking what is Krit in in Sanskrit. I don't know about Kritika, but these are all only my interpretation. I may be wrong. Then I was thinking about Rohini. Rohini comes from the word Rohan. Rohan is sometimes you say Ashwarohan, Dwajarohan. Ashwarohan means riding a horse. Dwajarohan is hoisting a flag. So something Rohan is connected to riding, and as we said, Rohini is connected to the cart. The symbol is cart. So that's the word, maybe Rohan. The word came of that nakshatra must be taken from that word. Mrigashira is easy. Mrigashira is Mriga plus Shira. Mriga means deer. Shira means head. Head's deer, head of a deer. Ardra means moist. Now Punarvasu is Punar plus Vas. Punar is what? Again returning. Punar, returning, coming back. Vas means to be at home, to reside, residing back. Pushya is Pushpa, comes from the word flower. Ashlesha, I don't know, but I was just thinking Asha plus Dilasa, I don't know. Maybe. Magha, I have no idea from where that word Magha comes. Purva is merits of past, because Purva means past, Fal means fruit, Guni means merits, basically, Gun. So if you combine those words, it's merits of past. Uttara Falguni is post merits. Uttara means post.
What do you mean by post merits?
Post merits is like maybe they may be hardly working for merit later. For example, they may be critical, they may be logical, they may be reasoning, they may be, of course, of lot of documentary and other things are seen from Uttara Falguni. Now, documentaries and other things, legal documents and all is for what? For the post, for the coming year, or for the future security. So post merits for the future security, like documents and all you sign for the future. Hasta is Hasta means hand. That's direct meaning. Chitra may be coming from the word Chitra. Chitra means picture. Now Swati is means drop from a sky into sea and converting into pearls. They say that the water drops come into the sea and then it goes into the shell forming a pearl, and that's what Swati. And Swati, as we know, is represented by a pearl. Vishaka is opposite branch. V plus Shakha. V is opposite. Shakha is branches. Opposite branches. Anuradha, Anu means small always. Anuradha, Radha is devotion. So small devotion or maybe mini devotion. Jeshta comes from the word Jeshta. Jeshta means eldest. Mula comes from the word Mool. Mool means roots. Now Purva Ashada, again Asha. Now I don't know. Purva, as I said, is pre. Ashada. Now Ashada is maybe connected to Asha. Asha means hopes, pre-hopes. Uttara Ashada may be post-hopes. Shravana comes directly from the word Shravan. Shravan means to hear. Dhanishta, I don't know. Dhana plus Ishta can be Dhanishta, but Dhan is wealth. Ishta is, I don't know. Ishta means what? The favorite. Dhanishta can be someone who likes maybe money, or someone who is interested in wealth. Wealth themes can be seen. Shata Bisha, easily Shata plus Bisaj, which is 100. Shata means 100. Bisaj means healers. Purva Bhadrapada. Now, Purva Bhadrapada and Uttar Bhadrapada, we always say that it is fierce and all, but you see, Purva, as I said, is pre. Bhadra. Now, Bhadra word is nothing what we have Bhadra Yoga in astrology. Bhadra is what? It's a Bhadra Purush, we call Bhadra Purush, or Bhadra means good character or something. So Purva Bhadrapada may be having something with related to maybe some good or happy or something like that. Pretty good. And Uttara is post. Revati literally means wealthy or rich. So each nakshatra names has got, I don't know, its own meaning, and I think some characters can be deciphered from that. I was just thinking, but anyway, today's topic is Purva Ashada, so let's go there. I was just thinking maybe I should share this. And it's interesting that we are talking about Purva Ashada, and we all know that what's happening in Purva Ashada right now. Saturn and Ketu in Purva Ashada, Sun, Rahu and Mars. I don't know, but the Mars is already gone into Cancer or not. I have no idea, because it was on the border yesterday. Sun, Rahu and Mars are all aspecting the Sagittarius sign. So there's heavy Purva Ashada karma going on right now in the sky. And what we are seeing right now, you see the Trump, Iran, US-Iran thing going on right now, preparing for, I don't know what they're doing, preparing for the war and other things in the news. So it's all that Purva Ashada. And you see the planets which are playing a role, Saturn, Mars, Rahu, and all the themes of fights or maybe all this we can see already with respect to US and Iran. Okay, now this is a star, as I mentioned here. You can see this is the Mula star here of a Scorpio tail, and right here is our teapot, and this cos media is the star, which is the Yogatara of Purva Ashada, and it is at Sagittarius 10°44'. Now, if you see this 10°44', in the normal division, it may come under the division of Mula, correct? Because Mula goes from 0° Sagittarius to 13°20'. But the star of Purva Ashada, the Yogatara of Purva Ashada, is in the Mula nakshatra. So it's the fourth pada of Mula. So the fourth pada of Mula may have some characteristics of Purva Ashada as well as Mula characteristics. So when you have fourth pada of Mula, just be cautious because it may show the characteristics of both Mula as well as Purva Ashada. It's interesting to point
that is very true. The fourth pada of any nakshatra I have seen giving results of that nakshatra and the next, and even when you're doing like nakshatra observation daily, you'll see the theme of that nakshatra play out only at the fourth pada of the moon. And Togi, you were here with me for 2 months. When we did our nakshatra research, fourth pada was running and we were doing something related to that.
You remember that when we were in last Saturday, when we were there in that restaurant, Anuradha was playing.
Anuradha Padha 4 was operating. We were at the Wild Game restaurant.
Yeah, yes. Yes. And it's interesting, even Mrigashira has that. Mrigashira and Ardra, like Mrigashira fourth pada has Ardra's Yogatara. So you will see that fourth pada. So that's the junction where you have these two nakshatras meeting. So you may have some characteristics of the other nakshatra. Okay, now this is again the same picture showing you about how does this constellation look and the star of Purva Ashada. So this is like Purva Ashada here, and then this is the star of Uttara Ashada here. The Sigma, this is called Nunki star or Sigma Sagittarius, which is the Yogatara of Uttara.
Your voice is coming low, Togi. Can you speak either closer to the mic, or I don't know if your mic is low volume.
Okay, maybe just let me check why I am.
Like your mic volume might be in the middle, just push it all the way up.
Maybe.
Because usually it's always high, today it's just low.
Yeah, it is strange. Okay, let me check. Okay.
Yeah, while he's doing that, I wanted to also add something which came to my mind. Purva Ashada is also associated with all the war cry. Every battalion has their war cry. What is the final war cry before they, go and smash into the enemy's camp? There's a war cry. So every army will have that, especially in the Indian army. every regiment of the Indian Army has a war cry. And, one of the says for the Punjab regiment, the war cry is Jo Bole So Nihal, Sat Sri Kal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the war cry.
Or
So
like Jai Mata Di.
Yeah, there are so many, so many war cries, so it might be interesting to see what is the war cry of each of these. Maybe, every army will have a war cry before they, go for the battle, or before they clash with the enemy. So it's like the marching thing, and the war cry is what Purva Ashada is all about.
Oh, wow.
So I just needed to, point that. Well, Aditya is just.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, if people want, they add some few more points by the time I do this.
Go ahead, Aditya.
Okay, great. Is it fine now? Or?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay, maybe I will just speak it loud.
Okay.
Okay, so fine. Okay, now talking about the Purva Ashada, as we know, it spans from Sagittarius 13 degree 20 minutes to 26 degree 40 minutes. And if you calculate when the sun exactly transits Purva Ashada nakshatra, that is from about 29th or 30th December to 11th January every year. So your new year comes exactly during the time when the sun is transiting Purva Ashada. And what do you do on a new year? You make resolutions, correct? It's like strategies, resolutions, which Dr. Pai was saying. That exactly happens like each year. Of course, now how many of us follow that resolution is a different question. But then you make resolutions, you make the next all the plans for the next year and all, which is exactly the theme of Purva Ashada nakshatra, because the sun is exactly transiting Purva Ashada nakshatra during that time. And if I ask you what is the date when the sun is near to Earth, that is on 4th of January every year. That means on 4th January every year, sun is much nearer to the Earth. Now you may think that it's a winter time in northern hemisphere, but still the sun is near to the Earth. Now the summer or the winter comes because of the tilt of the Earth axis. Okay, nothing to do with about near and far off from the sun. But actually talking about the actual distance from the sun to the Earth, and in a year period, they say that on 4th January, the sun is very much near to the Earth. Now, what happens when the sun is near to the Earth? As per Kepler's law, the speed of the sun is maximum during this period, because when it is near, the speed is maximum, and when it is far, the speed is minimum. That's what it is, Kepler's law. So remember, in Purva Ashada nakshatra, the sun is transiting much with a greater speed, or the motion of sun is much higher in Purva Ashada nakshatra than compared to any other nakshatras. Okay, and remember, exactly opposite themes play 6 months apart. 6 months apart, that is on July, in the month of July, the sun is much farther and it is much slower. Now, in the month of July, opposite of Purva Ashada is what nakshatra? Punarvasu, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Punarvasu. So that's when the sun is much farther, or the speed of sun is lower. That's what. And you remember, that's maybe the return of light or something like that, which what we call for Punarvasu can be a theme there. Now, understand now what happens when the sun is much faster here. Sun is Atma Karaka, and it also represents about soul and 9th house, because this is all we are talking about the Sagittarius. There's a lot of connection with spirituality, religion, and a lot of gurus are born in this nakshatra. So a lot of connection with spirituality, a lot of connection with religion or philosophy or something like that is seen with the individuals with this Purva. And I will discuss some of the charts in the later session, and we'll see what it is. And you can see the characteristics of this nakshatra. Now, why I'm saying that, let's understand, which this Dr. Pai mentioned about this point too. If you consider Purva Ashada, the Rashi is Sagittarius, the nakshatra is Purva Ashada, and the Navamsha of Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio comes in this nakshatra. So the first pada of Purva Ashada, the Rashi is Sagittarius. So all the padas are in Sagittarius because this entire nakshatra is in Sagittarius. So the Rashi Lord is Jupiter for all the padas. The nakshatra Lord, as Purva Ashada, the deity planetary Lord is Venus. So this is Venus. Since the first pada is of Leo Navamsha, the Navamsha Lord becomes Sun. The second pada is Virgo, Navamsha Lord becomes Mercury. The third pada is Libra, the Navamsha Lord becomes Venus. The fourth pada is Scorpio, the Navamsha Lord becomes Mars. So you see that there are a lot of themes with Jupiter and Venus, first of all, playing in this nakshatra. Now, Jupiter and Venus, as Dr. Pai mentioned, they are both gurus. One is Jupiter is a Dev Guru, Venus is Daitya Guru. They are both gurus. And what is this nakshatra? It comes in the ninth house of learning, philosophy, teacher, all those things. So a lot of research, devotion, spirituality themes I have seen in Purva Ashada nakshatra. And if a person is born in first pada, like Jupiter, Venus, Sun, Sun is what? Again, Atma Karaka, administration, all those things. All those qualities will be there. Of course, with the research, devotion, spirituality, they may also have the characteristics of Sun. Sun is leadership. There may be some leader for some people, some guru. Yes, Dr. Pai, do you see that? I don't know.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury in the second pada, which is again Mercury is the Mercurian characteristics, and Jupiter, Venus, and Jupiter, Venus, Mars. So you can see, and Jupiter, Venus, Mars will be more like aggressive or more like, because Martian qualities may come up there. So out of all this pada, which is an interesting pada you feel here? What do you see? 4. Okay. Why 4?
Because that pretty much signifies the Purva Ashada qualities, because Purva Ashada's quality is to fight that war and be a strategist. And Mars, as you know, is logic.
Okay.
Venus, and I was going to actually show this in my little thing. Venus is pretty much, the Daitya Guru. Jupiter is the Deva Gurus.
Correct.
And they fought a war between each other.
True.
So 2 gurus on one side with Mars's quality to bench the war. It's really that 4th pada. Again, like I said, 4th pada, I just see it the most prominent with all nakshatras.
4th pada will definitely be more of, as you said, Martian qualities will be there. But interestingly, there are many people or many scriptures talking about a lot of 3rd pada, because you have, first of all, you have Jupiter, Venus, all benefics, first of all. And because of the Venus position, since they are all benefics and the double Venus effect there, 3rd pada is given a lot of importance. Now, what do you mean by a lot of it? Because even the Pushkara Navamsha and Pushkara Bhaga, if you see, it falls in the 3rd pada of Purva Ashada. The 3rd pada is called Pushkara Navamsha, and some people quote 21 degree of Sagittarius, some people quote 23, but even though whatever that those 2 degrees comes in the 3rd pada of Purva Ashada, it's called Pushkara Bhaga. So any planet in the 3rd pada of Purva Ashada nakshatra will be falling in Pushkara Navamsha and Pushkara Bhaga. That means the planet will somehow, Pushkara Navamsha, I've seen that planet gives little bit trouble in the beginning, but as time goes and as the individual grows, it starts giving the good qualities. The better qualities come out of that. So the 3rd pada of Purva Ashada nakshatra is really very auspicious. In fact, 3rd pada of all the Venus nakshatras is the Pushkara Navamsha. So lot of interesting points for 3rd pada here, and see that maybe people can comment if they have any planet in the 3rd pada of Purva Ashada nakshatra, and how they have got that fruits of that planet or the results of that planets in its dasha or in its antardasha, and what they see. Dr. Pai, you want to say something on Pushkara Navamsha and Pushkara Bhaga here?
Yeah. See, as you mentioned, the 3rd pada becomes, the Pushkara Navamsha pada for Venus nakshatras. All Venus nakshatras, the 3rd pada of Venus nakshatras become important. And here you're seeing the influence of Venus, double Venus, the 3rd pada, what you can see. So there is more power of Daitya Guru in this whole thing. See, even though when you talk about Brahaspati and Daitya Guru, many of them say, the Daitya Guru had one secret which even Brahaspati didn't have, that is Mrit Sanjeevani Vidya.
Yep.
So whenever any planets come there, they can get in the third pada of Purva Ashada or of Purva Phalguni or whatever. I have seen that these people have one skill which sets them apart from the rest of the pack.
Unique.
So, Pushkara Navamsha means it's like a lotus. It's a blossom lotus. So definitely I see that there is some correlation with the Pushkara Navamsha here because of the double Venus coming there.
Mm-hmm.
More so here in this nakshatra.
Okay. So now talking about the deity, which is the uppers or the cosmic deity, as Dr. Pai mentioned, cosmic waters as a deity. Now, with that deity itself, you can understand the nature of this nakshatra. What does waters do? Water is for nurturing, water is for caring. It's also, some people associate mermaids and all with this, with uppers. And what is mermaid? Of course, they're mythical creatures inside the seabed or in the seabed or inside the sea. They're all mysterious, hiding, secretive, shy. So these are some of the qualities that you can think of Purva Ashada nakshatra individuals. And a lot of connection with waters, which Dr. Pai already mentioned. And I would like to point some few things here. You may see this connection with water with vernal equinox. Now remember the time when vernal equinox, as we know, the precision of the earth, because of the precision, the vernal equinox changes its position. Now I just calculated when the vernal equinox was in the Purva Ashada nakshatra. Now Purva Ashada nakshatra goes from, my battery is getting low here. Purva Ashada nakshatra goes from Sagittarius 13 degree to 26 degree, correct? And if you calculate that, it is about 253 degrees to 266 degrees from the first point of Ashwini, and you calculate all those. I won't go into the math of all this. Math is given here. It is about, in short, it is about 20,000 years back, the vernal equinox was in the Purva Ashada nakshatra. Now, Purva Ashada nakshatra is connected with water. So what happens, I was looking and I was thinking what happened where 20,000 years back on the globe. And we see that it was the last glacial maximum. That means that, of course, there was an ice age and all those things which we know, and it started melting during that time. And it is said that about 19,000 years, there was all this glacial started melting, and there was an abrupt increase in the rise of the sea level, So you see again the water themes coming up there. So, and the connection with cosmic waters and all, that's what the connection with this I was relating this with the last glacial maximum when all the glaciers were basically getting melted and the water level of the in the seabed or in the sea was rising. So that's how connection with Purva Ashada nakshatra. And it's interesting that if you see in Rigveda also, there are a lot of people which talks about Indra going and breaking these mountains and then releasing all the waters. It may be during this time, because what happens after that vernal equinox is in Purva Ashada, it will go, the vernal equinox will be in Mula, and then the vernal equinox will be in Jyeshtha. The lord of the Jyeshtha is Indra. It may take another 2,000 years because 1,000 years the vernal equinox takes in each nakshatra. Correct? 26,000 years for 27 nakshatra. So approximately 1,000 years for each nakshatra. So around 2,000, that means 17,000 years from now, the vernal equinox would have been in Jyeshtha, and all the waters would have already released. And then that's why the story in Rigveda, they said that Indra is going and hitting all the mountains and releasing all the waters. It may be this glacial maximum event happening, or all the deglaciation occurring in on the globe. And that's why all this Indra, that's why Indra got very famous in Rigveda. You have a lot of chants for Indra, you have a lot of chants for Varuna and all in Rigveda. I think that tells something about the climatic conditions, I feel. This is my own interpretations. But it's interesting to see that exactly when vernal equinox was in Purva Ashada, all these things happen of deglaciation and the water level and other things. Of course, now some other character, the invincible star, foundation about the strength, foundation is connection, and Dr. Pai also mentioned the power is Varchagran Shakti, invigoration. Result of Shakti basis and desires to gain luster. Of course, gaining luster means making strategies, making plans to gain victory. Purushartha is moksha, Gana is Manusha, Trimurti is Vishnu. The animal symbol of this Purva Ashada is male monkey. The bird is francolin. Tree, Sita, Ashoka, rattan can. And symbol is sometimes hand fan and also winnowing basket. Now, Ashoka is very interesting. Ashok means what? Comes from the word plus shok. Means no, shok means sorrow, no sorrow or sorrowless. And Ashoka tree may be connected is connected to Purva Ashada, and they say that it's a lot of medicinal use, especially for gynecological problems. Now that you can clearly see because this Purva Ashada comes under 9th house, which is 5th from the 5th. Childbirth issues, So childbirth issues, all gynecological issues, you can use the bark of this tree, and then they have medicines made from that. It is used even for diabetes, kidney stones, water retention. Again, water retention, kidney stones connected with all water element in the body. So and there are many other medicinal use for Ashoka tree. I just pointed out some. I think because connection with water, connection with 5th or 9th house, which is 5th from 5th. And now comes festivals which are celebrated when the sun is transiting. Purva Ashada nakshatra. First is 1st January, which is Happy New Year. All making, I think people from all over the world, they make New Year resolutions and other things. And there were some other few festivals which maybe not be knowing to many people, but there is also Paush Putrada Ekadashi. Putrada, again, Putra means 9th house of children again. It's the Shukla Paksha of Ekadashi in the month of Pushya. So again, it is done for begetting children or having like to have problems if they have. Some people have problems with childbirth and all. Pausha Putrada Ekadashi connected, but again, when the sun transits Purva Ashada nakshatra, this festival is celebrated. Pausha Putrada Ekadashi. The next is Safala Ekadashi, which comes in the Krishna Paksha of Ekadashi in the month of Pushya. Now Safala, the word Safal comes from, Safal means what? To victory or the prosper or to gain. Or to gain over some battle or some problems. Safala. Again, what is Purva Ashada? Purva Ashada is making strategies, making plans. Uttara Ashada is the last fight. Purva Ashada is making plans again. So Safala Ekadashi. So these two festivals comes in the month when of Pushya, when the sun is transiting Purva Ashada. Okay, now there is a quiz time here. We'll see some of the charts. Guess a great guru who was born when sun was transiting Purva Ashada. Which comes in your mind?
Osho Rajneesh.
Osho.
I know.
Dalai Lama, or probably Yogananda, right?
Ooh, hey, stop it. That's Yogananda.
That's Yogananda.
I raised my hand properly, Professor.
No, okay. Yogananda, that's my next slide. Yogananda, yes, you have pointed out correct.
Okay.
Ha!
Born on 12th Jan. Yogananda was not born on 12th Jan.
Okay.
But he was also born.
Maybe even Meher Baba.
So I'll say Swami Vivekananda probably then.
Was it Guru Nanak? Oh, okay.
I told you Vivekananda.
Vivekananda.
Yeah.
Vivekananda, yeah.
Yeah, Vivekananda was born on 12th Jan, and of course he was also correct.
Yeah.
He was also
Hey,
correct.
I have the picture framed.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah.
5th Jan. I told you it's from end of December till 11th Jan. So 12th Jan, 11th or 12th Jan, and 5th Jan. So a lot of you can see Purva Ashada and Uttara Ashada. Of course, Vivekananda is in the border. Yogananda and Gautama Buddha was also born under Ashoka tree, it seems, and that this is the Murti year or the idol year. Some celestial nymph Yakshis are like they are under the Ashoka tree here. So again, Gautama Buddha, you see Paramahansa Yogananda, Swami Vivekananda, all those are great gurus. Of course, Jupiter, Venus coming in the picture there, making them a great guru and all those. When everyone's family life is also disturbed, you see that. Yogananda, Yogananda was not married. Vivekananda was also. Buddha, of course, he was married. He left. So that again a point which Dr. Pai mentioned about the problems in maybe in a family life or something can happen for Purva Ashada native. Not everyone, of course. We have to see all other points too. But something great gurus and where people follow their religion. Of course, a lot of religion and other activities. Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Aditya, just to point to that, because Venus becomes the 6th lord and the 11th lord, isn't it?
Yeah.
Purva Ashada is the ascendant.
Yes.
In Vimshuddha Dasha system, Venus being the ruler.
Yes.
So that's why maybe people have something associated with marital karmas as well.
Definitely. And with that, I think I have only that much to share.
All right. So who's next? Eve or Sandeep? Evie, go ahead.
Yeah, Basti UG can go ahead. Yeah, I'm looking at something. But probably after and Kapiel will go. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think that first of all, Dr. Paiji did a wonderful job covering.
Wait, Eve. You were supposed to say, "Hi guys."
Hi guys.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that's not the correct view.
Hi guys.
Now you go. Now Eve is here, present.
Yeah, I think I'm here. I didn't sleep. I wanted to bring forward just kind of a contemplative point to get students of astrology thinking. I feel that that's more where that is the chair or the seat that I'm more comfortable sitting in, is perpetuating critical thought than providing people with answers. I'm steering away from that out of my love for astrology, because I recognize, I've always said I was a student, and this isn't some false modesty. This is true. This is my truth. That I'm truly it's still blooming like a flower to me. And I can't really give any answers to anyone. All I can say is that with all of these nakshatras, and let's take Purva Ashada, for instance. I love that Dr. Paiji and Aditya ji have brought forward the dashas. Because we look at these nakshatras and we label them as benevolent or malevolent. And sometimes a malevolent nakshatra will be very good for a person, and sometimes the benevolent nakshatra will be very bad for a person. And I'm speaking of looking at astrology for a life guidebook, for results, not for predictions so that you can go and win the lottery. I mean, if you want to do that, fine. That's not my business. But as a guide of life, like it's as much of a biological and chemical force as it is a secret force. And so you see these nakshatras operating in people's lives in very different ways. Well, when we apply dashas, which is astrologers, we should master that inside and out, because this is a science of time. So these are the time periods, right? So Vimshodri, it said across the board, applies to everyone. So we know that Purva Ashada is in the group with Bharani, Purva Falguni, with Venus, right? So you get Purva Falguni, which is personal love, sensuality, all of that kind of love. And then you get Purva Ashada, which is more of the expansive, universal love. I'm just going to make it simple. It doesn't mean that everyone with Purva Ashada is going to have some universal love. And this is why I'm not getting into interpretation. But when you get into like Ashtotri Dasha, which applies to many, many people, when you get into Shodashotri, when you get into Dwadashotri, so what you have happening is different rules that apply to people's charts, and therefore the nakshatras are activated, set off by a different graha, because the nakshatras aren't ruled by the grahas in the first place, right? It's the abode of the deity, or the abode is as a consciousness. And so these grahas act as activators. So Venus activates Purva Ashada, and in the Vimshotri, for all of us, universally in some way. In Ashtotri, we have Saturn activating Purva Ashada. And Purva Ashada belongs to the group that Abhijit is included with. And in Ashtotri, malefics become major malefics. And you're lacking Ketu, right? But malefics become true malefics, benefics become true benefics. There's little rules like that. Then Shodashotri, if a person is born on a waning moon in the aura of the moon, or on a waxing moon in the aura of the sun, then we should consider Shodashotri Dasha. And then the nakshatras start from Pushya. You know, like Ashtotri, they start from Rudra or Ardra, right? So, and the sun always starts. The sun always begins, but through every dasha, we have a different order of planets. So in Shodashotri, we have Ketu ruling Purva Ashada. Just food for thought. So those of you who are born on, this is something you can apply in your life, and I'm encouraging observation, direct observation. I have been put in my place by life too many times to know I'm no guru or teacher. I love to get people thinking. If I can do anything for you, it's to get you to think. And like, that's the best thing we can do, is have our own personal observation. If you think about those people that would be born with those conditions that Shodashotri would apply to, it'd be very fascinating for all of you to check Ketu, because Ketu is going to activate Purva Ashada Nakshatra for you. And the dashas are way different in that as well. I believe it's like 15 years of a Ketu dasha and then Shodashotri. So then when you go to Dwadashotri, you have, if you're born in a Venus and a Vamsha, how many of us think of that? If you're born in a Vamsha Venus, then you want to start the nakshatras from Revati. So the sun's going to rule Revati. And the order of the planets change, and Purva Ashada ends up being ruled by the moon in that case. So for those of you born in a Venus Navamsha, you might want to look at the moon for activating Purva Ashada Nakshatra. So this is just food for thought. I just really wanted to offer this because I thought everyone else did such a beautiful job, and I really don't feel I have the authority. So this is what I'll do every time, is add a little, I'll add a little bit or piece about this, and I'll refine it for you guys so you can actually observe it and start to apply it, because I feel more comfortable in this role. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share. Just a little practical thing to maybe get Brihad or Shastra, investigate. I would say the Kala Chakra Dasha is the hardest one to navigate. I don't know if people are entirely using it right because of the Upsavya Savya technique, the groups that they put the nakshatras in. But we find across the board the importance of nakshatras throughout all of the dasha systems, besides, of course, the chara dashas, the ones that are Rashi based. Majority of time periods are very heavily dominated by nakshatras. And not only that, there are rules that have to be applied carefully, and observations have to be made with with an open eye. So yeah. So it'd be good for you to investigate in the Bharat or Shastra. Just look at the chapter, see which planets activate which nakshatra, see what happens even during the transits. It's very interesting to watch that for those of you that Ashtotri applies for those of you who these other dashas apply for. It'd be very interesting for you to watch the transits, even find what dasha you're running from that period, and then even watch the transits. So when we're speaking of Purva Ashada, to make this relevant, It's interesting that it's coming up on all days of Purva Ashada, which is a major sign of the teacher, and I'm bowing out of that. I'd feel much more comfortable as a questioner. So I would say that it's fascinating just to think of the change. Venus in Vimshottari, Saturn in Ashtotri, Shodashotri, we have Ketu. So, I mean, looking at these changes, and the Saturn Dasha in Ashtotri is pretty brutal. So when we're talking about some of the harsher sides of Purva Ashada, we don't often realize how much Saturn comes into negotiations and our ability to compromise. Look at where Saturn's naturally exalted, the 7th house, right? The sign of Libra is naturally exalted there, which is partnership. Giving longevity to partnership is to compromise, is to have the gift of understanding, to be able to negotiate, to keep cool, to keep calm, to keep that Saturnian steadiness. All negotiations in life are better with Saturn, with a patient approach, not with a quick approach. That's, so when you think of Saturnian qualities and you look at these nakshatras, for those of you who Ashtotri would work for, think of Purva Ashada in that light as well, that Saturn will have a big role in how you negotiate the energies of the expanse of this nakshatra, the fierceness of this nakshatra, the incredible force that it has, just like Dr. Paiji said, moving towards Uttarashada, the victory, the stabilization of a victory. I love that Dr. Paiji said that about the Purva, that they're building force to something and then they get somehow stabilized. In the Uttara, all of them become stira, they become fixed, the result becomes stabilized. So it's very fascinating to contemplate Saturn's role in that. Then for those of you who Shodashotri applies to, Ketu's role in that. Ketu, the moksha karaka. You can look up so much about Ketu and study and then apply that to how is that going to work with the energies of Purva Ashada, the apas, the expanse of the waters. I mean, our bodies are 70-something% water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, water is one of the prime elements. I mean, everything goes back to Agni Soma in this universe, pretty much, the heat and cool, temperature. Believe it or not, temperature is a simple thing, but there's a whole, that's chemistry. So it's fascinating. It's a very powerful nakshatra, and it's in a very powerful position in the natural zodiac of the 9th house. So this is a lot where we get our personal ethics, our personal, what we define our moral code as. What is the code we live by? Are we going off of the luxurious side of Venus and the expanse of Purva Ashada and becoming a victim of fashion? Are we becoming a hoarder of books and have massive libraries and retain too much information? Because remember, there's the expanse, right? And then you get Venus, which is a love. Venus is yoga karaka, natural yoga karaka. So Venus is going to want to bond with everything. Wow, these, the cicadas are loud. Oh. It just started singing. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So
both of you.
So it's an interesting thing to contemplate Vimshottari and then contemplate a Saturnian version of Purva Ashada and how that planet's going, how that graha is going to harness the energies of that nakshatra so differently than Venus would, and Ketu so differently. So some of these nakshatras, round to the circle to the original point, this nakshatra, along with all the others, will function very different for each person. It will have its original energy, but its self-expression will happen in a modified way based on the individual thumbprint of the person, not only their entire chart, but the time periods that apply for them. I mean, we're so dominated by time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, guys, that's all.
Eve, the gurus that Togi was mentioning, the 3-4 gurus, does their, I'm pretty sure you must have studied their chart. Do they have those specific conditions that may make them a guru and not a fashion person or a warmonger?
Well, you'd have to look at the whole chart. For instance, a person with Purva Ashada, I've seen many luxury lovers.
Mm-hmm.
Many people who even end up owning their own islands. I mean, people who go to extremes of wealth and luxury. And then you see people that go to extreme of wisdom and knowledge. That's the ocean. Purva Ashada tends to always somehow draw the ocean. So whether it's an ocean of clothing or an ocean of arsenal or an ocean of literally living on an ocean or an ocean of knowledge, an ocean of love, an ocean, somehow they're going to draw the ocean to them. And they're rather extreme in some way, right? It's a rather extreme nakshatra. It has the ability to flood everything. So it's a very beautiful nakshatra. It's one of the most fascinating ones to me because of its movement. And it ends in Uttarashada, which is this fixed, stabilized victory, you know. So it's a very interesting nakshatra to contemplate. But I haven't studied, you know, to be completely honest, I've been very interested in ordinary people. I have studied those charts in the past, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But lately, majority of my research has been on very, you know, just your average everyday person, because that's the person that actually could benefit. The saint is wild. They're a wild animal. They're not domesticated. Mm-hmm. They're, you know, even us trying to hold a saint to moral codes, we're crazy.
Yeah.
Because we don't understand the expanse. Once again, we don't understand the expanse of their experience. So saints, I used to study a lot. I was very fascinated in the similarity between sinners and saints, these major so-called sinners in society, and then you get next to a saint, and sometimes the chart's very similar. And the person with all the exalted planets in the so-called saintly chart turns out to be the biggest hypocrite, and the person wearing robes and looking pure and looks like they have no stain of the world on them, and they're the quickest to deceive you. So that would always fascinate me, is why we are so given to image. Why are we so willing to give our trust to something that appears a certain way? So that was what big interest in studying saints for me, because I know they exist. I don't, but I also know that you don't know. It could be your next door neighbor. Yeah. It could be the grouchy next door neighbor that goes to work every day at a hair salon. You really can't say what defines the qualities of a saint. Yeah, it's a good topic, but yeah, I've been studying the charts of ordinary people, and so far the results are quite astounding. I would encourage all students to look into that and cultivate their own understanding of it. That's very important. Your own never ever surrender your own understanding to anyone. A real guru won't even ask for it in the first place. So I under Purva Ashada, I'm be careful of these people that would deceive you with a cloak of modesty or spirituality. So many people that follow gurus even are the most material people that I have ever met with it, you know, and it's just a garb, it's a decoration that they've put on. So never ever fall for decoration. It always leads astray. If you're going to decorate anything, decorate your body. I mean, because that's not going to deceive you. You know you're decorating it. But when you start decorating your mind, and letting people that profess to be teachers in. You have to be very careful, very, very, right? I mean, so in astrology, I think it's super important, and yeah, I would encourage studying as many charts of people that you know as possible, ordinary people in their lives, because that's really, this tool is such a help for us ordinary people. Really, it's. I mean, a saint is like a tiger. I mean, they're, you know.
Yeah.
And we just lost our saint.
Yeah.
That tiger is gone.
He just ran into the jungle. We said we just lost our saint.
Oh, okay. No, I was putting on my battery.
Right on the dot.
I Varcha Grahana Shakti of electricity.
So, Eve, I know you weren't here last time with the Mula nakshatra. Would you quickly give us your input on Mula nakshatra that we may have missed in the last session without you? So in this, we can actually carry some of that essence here.
Well, in light of my current stance, Mula, boy, that's a mysterious nakshatra right there. I almost feel like I'm not going to do it justice because I had tuned in so much with Purva Ashada. So would you mind if I do it in Uttara Ashada?
Okay.
Just so I can put my eye to it and the energy's right.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I can respect it. Actually, let me just say one thing, quick thing.
Yeah.
It's one of those nakshatras where girls specifically born under it are supposed to do all these remedies. And I find that I'm not a fan of challenging tradition just to be rebellious. I actually prefer to try to respect the tradition and find the truth in it. But when a tradition is failing, when a tradition becomes a superstition and it hurts people without discernment, then we're narrowing our view to such a point that there's no way we could live by what people are saying, dharma, the definition of dharma. If we're not protecting the weak, we've already broken dharma. So when we're having people feel cursed for being born under a Mula moon, that they have to do this or they have to do that, here's where just this one part I'd like to say, please question that. Please question that, because that nakshatra, did you know, here's a little, okay, on the topic of Mula that feels appropriate. I think Aditya knows, he borrowed the book from me. I have this book that's Rudra in the Vedas, right, Aditya? And it's all about Rudra. It's beautiful. I would recommend everyone to get it because the researcher did a very clean job. Everything's delineated, carved and cut and put into places where it's a very simple read, very easy. The person has their intellect was sharp. So it's a very good read, and it can help you if you're trying to understand some of the Rudra nakshatras, actually, because it has a lot about Purva Bhadrapada, Uttara Bhadrapada, or Rudra itself. Now, here's the thing about Mula. Nriti, right?
Yep.
Okay. I may be saying it wrong. Some people put a U in there. But the way it reads actually is like Nriti. I don't know. When you look at the Sanskrit, I could be wrong. This goddess and the god connected with it, Nrita. Did you know that no sacred fire, no yajna, no homa, it is blessed or considered effective unless Jeshta and Nriti are respected in that and worshipped in that flame. So they talk about it at length in the Rudra book, the Rudra and the Vedas book. So it makes a point that specific part of nature needs to be honored as pure, along with Agni, Soma, Indra, Varuna, Mitra, all of the Vedic gods. They go through all of them. And we just left, Varuna just left, or Mitra. So we have this concept of these nakshatras being dreadful, terrifying. They are, trust me, they have that side. If they say that they have that attribute, there is going to be a side of them that functions like, okay, take nature for instance. When we say dreadful nakshatra, I live with cats. I've had dogs, cats, snakes, you name it, I've had it. And a cat will sometimes bring you a gift, and it's not so exciting. It's a dead rat, you know. It's a dead bird. It's you know, and the cat is so happy that it just made this murder. You know? It's just thrilled with itself.
Yeah.
Is the cat evil?
No.
Or are we idiots? Like, yeah. I'm wondering if we are in denial about what nature really is. So when we're in denial about what nature really is, vilifying all these things that we vilify, death is part of life, and a cat is a predator. And it thinks it's a wonderful thing to bring you a dead animal. And actually, if you take the animal away and shame the cat will lose its trust for you. Because it knows it's doing its dharma. It knows it's doing what's natural, what it's supposed to do. It starts losing its faith in you, because who knows what goes on in a cat's head, but you're supposed to, if you know animals, you're supposed to congratulate a cat for bringing you. You're supposed to thank it. Then you quietly dispose.
Right.
Then you know, or sometimes I quietly rescue, quietly rescue lizards and snakes and all kinds of things. So you just have to, you show them that you have respect for what they are. And then you do your thing. You be who you are. But you know, so I'm wondering how much of this stuff with vilification, because Mula on that topic, is reality or conditioning of societal ideas that were based on an ancient society that very few people still live by. And a lot of people will preach it. It's a very, very hard thing to live by. I commend anyone who's really living by it. Then they can preach it. They can preach it to me all day. It doesn't mean I'll be able to do it myself. And I hope they can be forgiving, because I know I'm human. But I will at least respect it if they can live it. So when you look at the ancient society that these definitions came from, they valued very different things than we value now. And it was also a different time. It was a different flow. The equinox moves as well, which is a clever, that's a clever debate right there with the Rashis. I mean, whether the equinox should be starting in Aries. I myself am not a tropical astrologer. I'm just saying, you know, we don't know. You know, there's a lot of mystery still in astrology. We do have, it seems like the equinox should be the first sign of the zodiac, but then it seems like the other system works. So, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of these questions, and a lot of us ready to give answers to these things. And even in our innocence, we do it, right? And I'm doing it right now in my own way. You know, it's hard to avoid. But we need to remember to ask people to question and develop their own intelligence, because it's so dangerous to express our own view, because our views become crystallized, like this thing with Mula. So now everyone, I've literally, I can't tell you how many readings I've given to women in traditional situations where they were born under Jyotish or Mula, and they're having to do all these crazy things, and they're shamed before they get married, before this, they're shamed for it. Instead of someone greeting them at the door and saying, "You're a wolf. I bow to you. You know, you're a wolf. Be a wolf. Be honest." That's better. That's a deeper sense of humility than if you're a cat and you're supposed to be being a cat and you start trying to pretend like you're a mouse. It's not going to work too well. So, and that's where compatibility astrology can come in really, really, really strongly. Aditya Ji actually also showed me this video on the temples with the nakshatras, and I was really impressed to see the animal symbology for each nakshatra, because it shows you that they weren't just using it for the yonis. You know, so the animal symbology behind the nakshatra is very important. So Mula, we have a dog, a wolf, coyotes. You know, these. I mean, think about all the qualities. One is domesticated, one is more wild, but universally they share traits. And wolves specifically are highly intelligent. A highly, highly, highly intelligent species of animal. And then we've got Purva Ashada here today, monkey. The most intelligent, dangerously intelligent. What is it, monkey with a razor blade?
Yeah.
Our ancestors, you know.
I have to, tell you about this when you talked about monkeys. And I've seen this theme with Purva Ashada. I just wanted to share with all the viewers. I've seen, specific places where there are waterfalls and there is a temple or a cave temple or something, and there are monkeys there. This definitely Purva Ashada. It happened, it was just about, I think 3 weeks ago. I was at this place, and it goes, it's called Kapiel Raaj, named after our great Kapiel Raaj, Kapila. It's very close to Tirupati in the state of Andhra Pradesh in India. So when I went there, there is a waterfall. It's called Kapiel Raaj, and it's believed that Kapil Rishi has sat there and did a lot of penance. And you won't believe it. There are thousands of monkeys near there. They'll come running towards you. You can feed them or whatever you can do. But then I could see the animal symbology is very important. And temples and waterfalls and water caves and water temples, wherever the waterfall is, there is a near Shiva temple or something. That's completely Purva Ashada. And one more thing, what I wanted to add to what you're saying with Mula, my interpretation of Mula and Purva Ashada is Mula is like the iceberg from where the rivers start. And the river which flows from the iceberg, which is, what do you call that? Where the melting is happening and where the rivers are formed. The birth of the river, that's the womb of the river. The birthplace of the river is the womb of the mother. So the womb is like Mula.
Oh, the root, the origin.
The origin.
The origin, yeah. The galactic center.
The galactic center. So that's the origin. That's the river. That's the origin or the birth of. And it's like the water flowing when the childbirth is happening from the womb. So all the water just gushes out and the child is delivered. So the umbilical fluid has to come out. That's like the Purva Ashada, the child wanting to burst open and come out, that's like the flowing water coming out. And that brings me to another point that I wanted to add with Purva Ashada is very, very strongly associated with a specific river called Saraswati River. That is called the best of the mothers. Saraswati is named after, goddess Saraswati. And there is something mystical about that river because that river just disappears. you can see the river flowing with full force, and suddenly it just goes underground. You can see videos of people who have shot it. It's surprising. You can just stand in front of the river is coming with full force, and suddenly it's just disappeared. It's just gone. You can't see the river anymore. So it just goes, so something with mystical rivers and mystical healing. And afterwards, it is believed that this river comes and merges in Allahabad in India. That's why it is called Triveni Sangam, with Ganga and Yamuna. Ganga, Yamuna are the visible rivers, and the invisible river which joins there, is called Saraswati. So that's why it's called Triveni Sangam. Triveni means 3 rivers are merging there. And you can clearly see the difference in color of the rivers when they are merging together. The color changes with each of those rivers. So Saraswati, Saraswati civilization, that's different from Indus Valley civilization, the Harappan civilization. That's basic. But I'm seeing a very strong correlation with people coming from, those areas. And again, with Kapila Tirtha, which Kapila Rishi, that reminded me. Waterfalls, water caves, water temples, monkeys. I've seen many of these areas and I've seen one more temple in Malaysia, which has a very tall, I think it's called Batu Caves, very tall Kartikeya. And as you walk towards, you see the Martian energies as well. Remember I said, many consider that this Purva Ashada is the birth star of Mars. Kuja,
and that's
Manga.
profound. That's profound because in old Prashna astrology, Purva Ashada was the sign of war.
Yes, absolutely.
It was the sign of war immediately. When you saw Purva Ashada, it was discord, war, disagreements, breach of contract.
Absolutely. And I saw so many monkeys there, Batu Caves. As you're walking towards, again, Purva Ashada, it's a Martian energy. It's like Kartikeya, huge statue, you can see of Kartikeya. It's in Malaysia, Batu Caves. So there are so many places where you can just go and understand the nakshatra energies better. I think you have to be there to really understand those energies.
And that's the old civilizations, like you read the Rig Veda, they're worshiping very natural primal elements. If you notice, so much is about nature, and the worship of nature is very simplistic. We've complicated it so much now. It's when you read it, it's so beautiful. I mean, it's so important for us, I think, on this topic of Purva Ashada, for all of us to get away to nature sometimes, the expanse, just to be in the expanse. There is a side of that nakshatra I feel deeply that does connect with wanting to get away. Because someone could be like a serial vacationer on a material side, but on a deeper side, the Raj.
Always on Expedia.
Well, the Raj has responsibilities of the kingdom, sir.
Yeah. So. But I do need to get away a lot.
But yeah, but there is the other withdrawal that's not vacation, that it is, but it's the kind of withdrawal that actually leaves you refreshed. And think about being around a waterfall or a river or ocean. How many people want to live next to the ocean? There's something that communicates peace to us. There's something that communicates peace to us in that, yeah.
Okay. So, are you good with that info?
Good.
Kelsey?
Good.
Good? Okay. Sandeep ji.
Yeah, Kapil ji, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you share what you have seen with Purva Ashada?
Well, oh yeah. So I have written down here and this is like what he was saying, working with real people is where you get the best observational astrology. So this is why I mostly, even in my school, I try to use actually just a chart of either students or other people to show about the planet. So I've quickly written down what I have seen with each planet in this nakshatra. So Sun in Purva Ashada literally wants to be an executive, but they have the ability to burn things out. Meaning, if this person comes in as a manager, what they want to do is that they want to either get rid of most of the team in the corporation, fire people, meaning burning things out, okay, to bring this, I don't know, this purity into the corporation. And Purva Ashada is water, purity. So Sun in Purva Ashada has been known to be just like this executive person who feels that I'm coming into the situation which is trash, which is dirty. Let me burn it out. Let me clean it out so something fresh comes in. Moon, I have seen writers, and especially, and this is one thing that I added from last time with Mula nakshatra with moon. I have seen actually the most fertile women actually having 4 or 5 different kids. And I'm like, wow, this person is a moon in Mula in the 5th house, where you would think there would be some sort of a destruction, but they actually had 4 or 5 children. But moon in Purva Ashada loves to write, but also at the same time, Moon, Mercury, Rahu have a particular thing that I've noticed. There is a they think too much with Moon in Purva Ashada. They're always strategizing. They're like, if somebody said something to them, their spouse, you know, why did you do this? I was waiting for a year. And then they'll be thinking in my mind, why did she say this? Maybe she's trying to do this. Okay, now I need to strategize this so I can say this to her in my mind. So that's what it does. Where Mercury, usually I see accountants and bookkeepers with Purva Ashada. It's strategy. How do I keep accounts of things? So, okay, and these are the most clever accountants I have worked with. Like they say, I save my clients the most money by looking even into loopholes to see what's going on. How is it that I can use this loophole if they have an LLC versus an S corp? Versus a normal accountant will be like, okay, I'm going to go buy the book. Okay, you're going to owe the government $30,000. Where this person will say, no, look at all these loopholes. You're only going to be paying $6,000. Why are you paying $30,000 for? There's the legally loopholes are there. So they strategize in how to save that person's money, the kubera, their account. Then with Jupiter, managers, but also confused with their divinity. And the way I've seen this is that these people feel guilty for wanting to have the material things, but then they're like, oh, this is not right. I'm going after material things. It's against, you know, being righteous and fulfilling. And they're like, what can I do? It's not like what they want to do, but they just will write to me and they'll be like, I'm just kind of confused. You know, I want to follow this path of my family, but I also I love material things. I want to get these things. So Jupiter, which is the karka of divinity, confuses them because obviously you have the Venus and Jupiter playing this scenario out. And this is where I also see about the nakshatra changing in different, you know, dasha system. What I see is that I had a particular special teacher who told me that look at the heart of the nakshatra. Venus rules the heart of all the dharma nakshatra. Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. It's a very special guru, by the way. And actually, I made a video on that. And so just by looking the simplicity of the Kal Purush Kundali, you actually see there's a reason why it has been regurgitated and driven down the generation, why these normal lords of the nakshatra do have a very powerful significance versus even the other dasha. They have a very strong say. Even let's say if Ketu comes on top or, you know, Saturn comes on top, that will always be that underlining of that heart of that nakshatra, whether it's the beginning part or the actual middle part. And then Saturn, I've seen nutritionists, people who want to nourish people who want to actually go and work for NGO, want to work for, you know, Red Cross. They feel like they want to give themselves for the betterment of the world. They want to give maybe their ocean of devotion. But nutritionists I have seen always with Saturn. Venus, music directors, not musicians, people who become sound engineers, like Dr. Dre. They strategize, no, I need this beat here versus that beat there. Because I was wrong. I told this person, wow, you must be a great musician and a singer. They're like, no, I am actually a sound engineer. I balance the chords out, I balance all the bass out to see how that sound is going to come across. And then I'm like, oh my God, Purva Ashada, strategizing. So that's what I've seen with Venus. And I have seen sports coaches, not gurus, sports coaches with Venus. Why? Because Venus is the Daitya Guru. He's the guru that, hey, this is the earth. You're not a deva. You're a human. You need to work with whatever earth has given you. Enjoy. Like Togi says, eat, drink, and die. The greatest philosophy I heard. And so Venus actually says in realism, I'm going to provide creativity, but I'm going to guide you with that creativity, which is what? Sports coaching. Sports is like dance. It's a beautiful art. And Venus coaches that. So I've seen that. Mars, war veterans. Mars, I've seen war veterans with that. And engineers as well. Rahu. Okay, so Rahu, Moon, and Mercury is where I said that there is this mental confusion.
Kapilji, can I ask you something? I'm just curious. On Mars, have you seen lawyers?
Oh, absolutely. Lawyers.
I just wanted to ask. Yeah.
Yes. Mars, Jupiter, and even Saturn giving lawyers. Actually, judges as well. I have my thing of judges as well. So I have seen that. Now, Rahu is the, it's a little unusual here, Rahu and Mercury. No matter how great they are, there's always some mental tension or mental issues underlining. But Rahu, people I have seen, they feel that they're being attacked by everybody. They constantly feel that everybody's attacking me. Everybody's coming after me. What do? My coworkers hate me, or my in-laws are always doing something against me. So I keep putting these in softwares, but then I realize after over time that Rahu kind of plays, they're confused. They don't know if it's war that is really happening, or are people really coming to attack them. Rahu's kind of gets confused, like, you know what, I think, no, the reason why they said this because they hate me and they're all against me. They will kind of like self-victimize themselves, saying that, okay, now I have to be at war with everybody. So this is what I've seen with Mercury, because Mercury is always calculating, always thinking. So, and with Mercury in Purva Ashada, they actually go through a bit of a panic attack or nervous tensions, because the intellectual part is working over time. Too much of that. And then Ketu, of course, spiritual strategist. What do I mean by this? I get people, they say that I am in IT and all this, but I really want to open this organization, this spiritual organization that will do this, this, and this for people. And I want to do that. And I'm trying to plan that out. Can you see that in my chart that is happening? So what I see then, that Ketu, especially, let's say if it's in their Lagna or with their Atmakarka, I have seen where they want to do something for the world in a very pure way, but they want to be strategic about it. So these are just, and then the other thing that I saw with Purva Ashada overall, these people gain jobs, lose jobs, gain jobs, lose jobs. Kind of like monkey going from one branch of the tree to another. They learn something, they do some work, they're like, okay, no, I want to go here now. Those are the people who have 2-year contract with an IT company, 3-year contract with a strategic company. Then they go work for the gas company. They need that change because marquee is never settled on one place. They want to hop and jump from one thing to the other. So like even if let's say if you're learning astrology, they'll be like, oh, I learned this. Okay, now I want to move and learn this. Okay, now I want to learn KP. Now I want to learn Gemini. They'll never satisfy themselves.
Question about this. I'm curious if you've seen it with all the Purva nakshatras.
I have
restlessness.
No, that's always there. With the job changes, that's what I said. Overall, there's always change they want. Either they'll leave or they'll just get fired from like 10, 15 jobs. Always I've been fired 8 jobs in the last 5 years. So what do? I'm confused. I'm like, well, pick a job that makes you like an independent contractor, or a job that has different projects, like working for BCG, McKinsey & Company, Bain & Company, because 2 months out of the year, you're working in Japan. Then you're working with a company in UK. Then you're working with a company in China, helping them strategize there. Why is their marketing not working? Why is this product not selling? So it's a different thing every single time. And that's the only job that these people will survive at. Either that or teaching something that has different avenues. So they can, like, these are actually can become the worst teachers because they cannot just teach one subject every semester or one same book every semester. Okay, let's do this. Like a high school teacher, geography, history, they'll go by the same book. They will not be good at it. They want something where there's something new. developing. Okay, now let me bring something new to you and teach you. So these are just the practical things besides, because I don't have any of these oral traditional Vedic knowledge in my brain. What, like you said, I'm just looking at the charts, making my, calculations with my stupid brain, and then whatever I see here, that's it. I just stick to whatever this little brain of mine is doing in a practical way. That's it. So I don't know about Nritti, I don't know about Vritti and Shritti, but I know about what's happening, man, with people. That's it. So that's me.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kapiel. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just had to ask those 2 questions.
Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. So, Sandeepa.
Yeah,
that's a pretty
so,
cool
yeah.
shirt you're wearing, Sandeep.
Yeah, it's your shirt, right? You gifted me. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
Turned out to be useful in this rainy season. I ran out of shirts quickly. But, I loved every points which everyone, I could go on forever on each of those points. But I loved the fact that what EG was sharing about, connection with Nritti and Rudra. There's a lot more to that. So I have a whole list. I was just making list as you're going. One big thing I want to share was that if you pay attention to the Oman video, right, there was a lot of back and forth. That's the first thing. So this is exactness which Kapilji was describing. That these Purva Ashadha natives will be going, and these natives will be very intellectually oriented. So we talked about a documentary before. There is a high chance for intellect, and they want to sharpen their mind. These are the natives who loves the big picture thinking. These are the natives who will be reading strategy books like Art of War, reading Chanakya Niti, all that kind of thing, which Dr. Pai mentioned. Then one other interesting thing, Purva Ashadha, this is one which I noticed. Like, say you have some good 9th Lord, 8th Lord, stuff like that. All that kind of planets in Purva Ashadha. I asked them, do you have any kind of worship of the goddess happening for you? Like, specifically, I'll ask them, do you do any kind of Sri Vidya practice? And then, all the tantrics who are like secret tantrics out there will be like, how did you find that? That kind of thing was very interesting, because like to see this Purva Ashadha actually conclude this Sri Vidya practice in which actually worshipping the Lalita Tripura goddess in a high-end form, that's one thing I've seen a lot, actually. Especially if you have supportive kind of planets, you have those kind of planets, which is that kind of thing. Now you have to remember the symbol of winnowing basket. What is a winnowing basket? To see a winnowing in action, you just have to attend a homa or a yajna. You'll see that there'll be flowers that are being offered, So one winnowing basket will be having flowers in it. It will be moving from one place to the other. The pujari will put it. Then the will go to the other place. The assistant will put more winnowing basket. So these natives love those kind of enterprises. They love to go from one department to the other department, find out what's going on, pass on the message to the other department. They love all that kind of stuff, So that's what I've seen with Purva Ashadha. And you have to remember the symbol is elephant's tusk. So it's like Ganesha. And writing is a big thing because Ganesha wrote the entire Arda. In fact, to a point where I now tell all the clients that you guys should just watch Mahabharata on YouTube. Because now Saturn is in Purva Ashadha, Ketu is in Purva Ashadha. Just watch Mahabharata on YouTube. Just watch Mahabharata on Netflix, stuff like that. It will actually calm you down. Karmically, you'll feel those karmas moving away because you're seeing that the only one who is facing those problems, Karna, Draupadi had more, stuff like that. And then suddenly things become much more light. So this actually, many times they have to fight some kind of battle. And these are the natives who are extremely prepared. They have one, and Ashwini native will be like, oh, I'm going to like New York or something. They'll be in Mumbai or something like that. Purva Ashadha native will be like, oh, I'll be going to New York 1 month later. So let me book everything. Let me arrange the hotel booking, everything, that kind of thing. So it's they have very extreme long-term thinking. That's very strong thing there. I read out what Dr. Pai said about mermaids and stuff. I mean, there is a whole class of water creatures you'll find out there. You'll find sirens, you'll find nymphs, you'll find valkyries, all that kind of. There's a whole lot of sea creatures out there that are that kind of fantasize Purva Ashadha natives to the point where I've seen a lot of them actually go deep sea diving and they love whale songs. They'll sleep to whale songs. They'll go to like Hawaii, go dive with the whales, they'll come back. They'll actually listen to whale songs and sleep. That's something. Now, again, there is a symbol of elephant's tusk. So I've also seen them, they will travel places where there are elephants. Like you go to Thailand, you go to Bali, there's like elephants there. I'll ask them, okay, when are you going to Thailand? They'll be like, yeah, there's an elephant there. And these are natives who will go connect with elephants And sometimes getting elephant decoration items that can actually activate that Purva Ashadha, So elephant
They
decoration
have like
item,
paintings of elephants in their home. I asked that.
Exactly,
All this true. Yes.
Yeah, either paintings of elephant, like you have a lot of elephants here, so we can buy these elephant decoration items, like the thing will be an elephant, there is a thing they put on front, so you can buy that as an elephant decoration thing, and that's something great that works. Now, what is interesting about rivers, and now again, Purva Ashadha is the waters that reinvigorate, right? So they drink a lot. It could be that they are fine wine connoisseurs. That's a common theme I've seen. They'll know the best whiskey. They'll know the best like wine out there. They'll know like the best that kind of thing. That's the Purva Ashadha thing too. Not just whiskey and drinks, but they'll also know the best tea that's out there. These are the servers, the people who specialize in tea serving and stuff like that. That kind of tea ceremony and stuff like that. That's Purva Ashadha natives. These are natives who will be listening to classical music and drinking the best wine that's out there. That kind of thing. Now, what is interesting about the symbol of the hand fan is if you open a hand fan, right, you have to open the hand fan. It's like you have to open one slot by the other slot and it only. But you see that at the center point of that Purva Ashadha, at the center point of that hand fan, you find a spiral, and this is something which Dr. Pai has talked about beautifully, like in before, like how Purva Ashadha is actually connected with the shank, the conch of Vishnu, and it's actually symbolic of the spiral that is there within it. The Vishnu is holding the shank, which is symbolic of the spiral. And these are natives who will be great at cultivating seashells. They'll be cultivating a lot of conch shells, stuff like that. And what is great about, and here is another beautiful thing about Purva Ashadha. It's great that we talked to, Dr. Pai mentioned waterfall. Now, what is interesting is that with Purva Ashadha natives, I tell them the biggest remedy for them is to actually pour water over Shivling. Because actually what is happening is that you're making a waterfall that is being poured over Shivling. And for these natives, if you look at the main ritual for a Shivling, it's actually, it makes perfect sense from Ardra and Purva Ashadha nakshatra opposite axis, because you have Ardra on one side and Purva Ashadha nakshatra is the other. So you are actually activating the Purva Ashadha that's falling on Shiva, who's Ardra. And this is very strong. You have this rainwater of Ardra, which is again connected with Purva Ashadha, the waterfall of Purva Ashadha. Like waterfalls are the source of the ice glaciers, which is melting down into waterfalls at some point, that kind of thing. And rivers, water bodies are very powerfully connected. These are very powerful places for mystics and yogis. They actually meditate close to rivers. They actually meditate close to the waterfalls. They hunt for caves and meditate. So that there's a specificity that comes out when the water's hitting there. There's a specific energy that comes out when the rain is actually hitting the floor, and the smell of that earth is very fresh. So this is something that will actually inspire everyone. Purva Ashadha native, but it can actually be connected with, for Purva Ashadha native. These are the things they'll be hunting for. Because they'll be looking for those kind of things. Now again, the theme of spiral I already mentioned. So it's obviously the golden spiral. You have the golden ratio, that kind of thing. This is the Venus is the highest sattvic kind of nakshatra here. So you find a lot of people who have that love for that golden spiral, golden ratio, geometry kind of stuff. They just love that. They'll just spend time on Instagram looking at that. That kind of thing will happen. And then now here is the other which I've seen. I mentioned about Sri Vidya, or worship of the goddess. Right now, this is not just something that is restricted to India as such. You find the same phenomena happening like literally in all other continents. Like in Africa, there is this goddess called Oshun, who is actually the river goddess whom you worship. I think Beyonce made some kind about Oshun, so something like that. There is one music video in which she's like a tribute to Oshun or something like that. But you read about Oshun. Oshun is actually carrying one main ritual item for Oshun is actually a mirror. Which looks like a hand fan, which is like golden color and stuff like that. So it's actually, they're connecting with Purva Ashadha nakshatra energy there. And this is the goddess of fertility, this is the goddess of wealth, this is the goddess of harmony, diplomacy, all that, So all that is very strong for Purva Ashadha. So that Oshun is one thing that I've had clients who are worshippers of Oshun. That's one thing. One way to actually act Ashadha nakshatra is to, I think a former student, Dr. Pai is a student, Sumdaji had once mentioned about using a dolphin. Like you can you can keep a dolphin keychain and suddenly planets in Purva Ashadha is active, because dolphin is one of those sea sea creatures that you associate with. I think dolphin is also connected with Dhanishta, but dolphin is something which she shared. That's one thing. Now, what is interesting about, and if you think about Purva Ashada and Ardra, if you look at recently, Ardra is connected with Rahu. Rahu is like aeroplane, aerospace, all that, right? And you have Purva Ashada, which is actually a very strong company. It's a heavyweight company. Now, when Sansing Purva Ashada, what is interesting is that one of the aerospace companies that was hit was Boeing. I was wondering why. Now, obviously, from Purva Ashada to like, you had a lot of Boeing flights canceled. That was a big panic. There was big panic happening around. Now, what is interesting is that Saturn was dancing Purva Ashada, and then you can immediately have the Purva Ashada and Ardra nakshatra was getting activated. Now, what is further interesting is that this associated with Purva Ashada is actually beginning from Bu, Be, Bo. And that's how it will begin. And even some text also gives fa, the fa sound, like as in Ferrari and stuff like that. Now, if you look at again, the beginning of this video, Dr. Pai mentioned about Buddha. Look at the sound that is Buddha is actually following Purva Ashada. What is interesting is that Purva Ashada, Buddha actually started his first big student kind of thing, which Buddha started, was actually happened in a bamboo grove. Talk about bamboo, suddenly the nakshatra Punvasu should come. Now, that's immediately activating the idea of like Purva Ashada's opposite nakshatra is not just Ardra, but also. So these natives, and that kind of explains the idea of like why these natives have to go again and again and again. They have to go. This repetition is happening because of this nakshatra connection that's happening there. Now, there is one other interesting thing about Ardra is that I think EVG had mentioned before that the original healer in the way is actually Rudra. So what is interesting about Purva Ashada is actually that the waters that reinvigorate, right? So in these modern days, it can actually translate as people who are willing to use steroids, to actually beef up their muscles and stuff like that. People who are trying to reinvigorate their body in many ways. Now, there are actually herbs that can actually reinvigorate you in many ways. One of the common popular herbs that is actually used by most of the people who know Ayurveda and stuff is like Shank Pushpa. Look at Shank Pushpa, immediately that connection, that cone shell connection of Purva Ashada can be immediately activated. That is one thing. Now you can actually find a lot of elixirs, medical healing elixirs with Purva Ashada kind of thing.
You remember there was the Shank Pushpi used to come. Vaidyanath Shank Pushpi back.
Exactly that. That's the. Yeah, I think that's the name. That Shank Pushpi is exactly that. You would buy that, and you're reinvigorating your own health, right? So these are the natives who will be actually taking a lot of tonics. They'll be trying to use all kinds of available. So you have Rahu. You'll be using
steroids for your brain for like good memory or good for learning and all those things, which is again connected to 9th house, higher learning.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that. For sure, higher learning. Now these are the natives I've seen that they just can't take crap. They just can't take class. They are like a class apart. They always go for high class. They can't deal with like ordinary kind of thing. They just need a high class, high end. They are very graceful. What I would say, pure grace, like pure grace in action. They're like extreme. So you'll find a lot of models. You'll find a lot of actresses here. You'll find a lot of classical music lovers, a lot of classical dancers, stuff like that there. That kind of thing is there. One final point I will say is that, there is actually, a lot of gods, like even the sea gods, right? Sea gods like Varuna. Now, in the Roman mythology, you find, I think Roman or Greek, you find Poseidon, Neptune, all those gods, right? So those gods were actually associated with a lot of wealth also. So, I mean, Varuna is definitely a wealth in Indian context, but you find this connection with sea actually bringing in wealth. Yeah, there you go, Shank Pushpi. I think that's helpful for your health, right? So that you find that, Now, see, you'll find a lot of elixirs like that. You'll find there is like, there is the Chinese elixir which people take. We call it Shao Wuchi. There is this other Lingzi kind of elixir. Now, here is the biggest finding. One interesting fact I found. Actually, some waters that are very, very expensive. Like you think that the most expensive liquid out there is like alcohol and stuff, but you think that whiskey is more expensive and stuff like that. But there are some natural spring waters which are expensive, and you find that there are in Europe, especially in France and stuff, there are actually monasteries who would have this access to natural spring waters, and they would sell their natural spring waters at a very high price. You find those kind of natural spring waters carrying a lot of high energy, and you have to remember this spring water is very old. It's very, those mountain peaks, the snows there has been long time, long before humans in this current species form is actually available. Then from that time itself, that mountains have been going. So for these natives, actually, these are natives who like something pure, so you can actually buy some of those expensive spring water, and that's actually good for your health also. You'll find a lot of things invigorating. Many things I've seen that they might actually be using that for rituals, stuff like that, like very high-end rituals with the water. And you find a lot of tribal people actually knew those kind of things, and they'll be using those kind of things a lot. And you can find a lot of spring water. That's one thing I would say. And I think the point is going to be that with Purva Ashadha, there is a lot of back and forth, and I think what Dr. Pai mentioned about purifying their karmas, it's very true for them. And many times they have to, it's also that they have to do the battle. Only when they do the battle, they will do it. But it's some cases I say that so depending upon the planets, depending upon those planets' lordships and stuff like that, you can understand what kind of karma or battle they have to go through. These are the natives these are the couples who love to fight with each other, and then, they're peaceful after they fight, that kind of thing. You could obviously attribute that to Mars, which makes sense, perfect sense, because Purva Ashadha is like the Mars birth nakshatra. But then Purva Ashadha has that quality of back and forth. They just love this kind of strategic kind of thing. But sometimes they can get too much caught in the strategy. They kind of miss the big picture also. That's also a very thing for Purva Ashadha is, yeah, I think that's what I have. I just all points that were discussed before was great. So I found these were like kind of unique points. Yeah. Of course, the final thing, the Planet of the Apes, right? That's definitely a Purva Ashadha movie. So like if you find yourself watching Planet of the Apes, for sure, it's Ravana or Purva Ashadha for sure. Yeah.
Good. Perfect. Thank you so much, you guys.
Those were actually really good points. Like,
absolutely.
Those observational points, they were really good. I just wanted to compliment both of you. I mean, those are really good points.
Yeah, I have
Dr. Pai.
Yeah, Santip mentioned about Purva Ashadha, and these are people that I've seen. Just my final point is, these are people who love to go for single malts. They don't like to go for anything else. This is like, and I used to live in Scotland many years ago, and in Gaelic they call it Ishkaba. Ishkaba means the water of life. They call whiskeys as the water of life. Okay, so there's a very strong correlation with Purva Ashadha. People who like to drink Scotch whiskey, single malts, these are lovers of single malts I've seen, and they will always go not for the normal brands which many of them drink. They always want to innovate, and they will try different whiskeys or wine, different brands of wines, maybe from Peru, or a Chilean wine or something different. Oh, there you go.
True. In majority of people with Purva Ashadha, you will see those Venusian attributes amplified of, intoxication, liking some kind of intoxication, whether it's an addiction to something or something.
Enough. I have no bottles in my home now. Need to get one.
Now, another great observation I will say is that even if you don't have this nakshatra in your chart, but if whatever is signified with your family members that signifies you, for example, if your children have this, if their moon is in there, the mother's behavior will change after the birth of that child to somewhat of Purva Ashadha. Sun is there, the father. So if you're the father, you will start behaving and seeing yourself doing the things that Purva Ashadha was doing. So in a woman or man's chart, if like a man's chart has Venus in Purva Ashadha, but the girl doesn't have anything with Purva Ashadha, how we change after marriage? Why do we change certain things, certain behaviors? Because of the fact we start their chart interacting with ours, and their energy starts pouring onto us.
Kapilji, you know what you're describing?
What?
Basic chemistry.
Yes. I failed my chemistry class, but wow, I'm glad.
Not failing this one. No, it is literally, the periodic table, the elements, everything. Isn't it true? I mean,
Yes.
Two people come together and they produce a result.
A result, yes.
Yeah. It's either explosive.
Hydrogen and oxygen coming to produce water.
Yeah.
Well, that's a positive one.
Yeah.
There's explosive ones. There's corrosive.
No, that is very true, because I'm like, why is it that when my daughters were born or when I married my wife, things changed and I behaved like this? And once I understood this, oh my God, I'm actually acting like my spouse's planetary nakshatra. Wow. Or I'm acting like my girl's planetary nakshatra that represents me. I never had that before, but after that, boom, just became active.
Isn't it amazing how powerful the force of the sun is to make us think that we're autonomous?
Yeah.
That we're just an individual, but the truth is we're affected by everything we interact with.
Yeah.
There's many unions, right? Little bitty unions that are taking place at all times, and we don't recognize how they're defining us and creating a reaction or a response in us. It's really amazing. I mean, what is that saying about the sum total? You're the sum total of the 5 people you associate with. Is that an old Irani saying, actually? I can't remember, but it's you're the sum total of the 5 people you are around the most.
Right. Exactly.
That's just interesting.
That's why I'm a nutcase right now.
Anyway, the final conclusion is eat, drink, and die.
Eat, drink, and die. That's it.
Over here.
I love that philosophy. Eat, drink, die. Forget all the other bullshit.
Toki G, have you read Solomon? Like the works of Solomon?
No.
Okay,
by my own experience, I eat,
drink, and be merry.
Yeah.
He was a master occultist. Speaking of Purva Ashada, I mean, the treasure of knowledge for this certain branch of understanding of metaphysics.
Eat and be merry.
And at the end of his life, the conclusion he came to was to throw it all out and just be with his woman and wine. He said, eat, drink, and be merry.
Oh man, I gotta have this poster here in my office.
No idea. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, he's. I mean, I'm sure so many people will know who that is. But
maybe I'm the reincarnation of King Solomon. Who knows?
Well, yeah. There you go. We need a Solomon Baba.
Solomon Baba.
I'm the son of Paga. So, of course, we're gonna all meet in the 3rd Saturday of next month, and we'll be doing Uttara Ashada. So that'll be another trip down the memory lane. So I shall see you all then. And this was amazing. Thanks. This is amazing. After a long time, all 5 of us were here.
Yeah, great to see everyone.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.